Hi, I'm James Barfield, and this is your Urban Connection. And as usual, this is a channel that is often imitated, but is never duplicated. Now, you know, today I want to talk about the Wichita Police Department. It has been since March that we've not had a permanent full-time police chief. And last week, it was announced that interviews had been conducted with several applicants, and they had arrived at two individuals that they considered finalists. One of these individuals is a 26-year veteran of the Miami-Dade Police Department, and the other one is a 30-year career man from the city of Philadelphia. Now, I want to say right off the bat that I had made comments about 3 months ago to the city manager that due to the nature of the corruption, the racist pattern, and the culture of corruption that existed in Wichita Police Department, that I felt it would be difficult to find what I would call a 5-star, well-regarded, experienced police chief to come into Wichita and take over or get involved in what we have, as I will describe, as one hot mess of a police department. So I have to tell you that after looking at these two finalists, I'm less than impressed. Now, there are several things that I'm bothered by or disturbed by, and one of them is the fact that once these two candidates were announced as finalists, there was also an announcement made that they were placed on a gag order, which means they could not communicate with members of the public, they could not communicate with members of the media or anyone else. Now, I thought we had learned our lesson, and I thought we had learned the importance of transparency within our police department. And so after a big backlash from the public, the city removed the gag order and allowed these guys to talk. Now, I want to tell you, there's a lot that you, the public, has not heard. And I'm going to give you information that I think you need to know, I think you're entitled to know, and I think you should know. And I think once you learn the information that I'm going to offer you, I think you will be like me, less than impressed with what we're getting. So let's talk about these two individuals that are that have been put forth as finalists. Let's first talk about the gentleman from Miami-Dade. His name is Mario Mario Knapp, K-N-A-P-P. Now, this gentleman resigned in 2021 from the Miami-Dade Police Department after having risen to the, I believe it was the 8th highest rank in that department, which was a major. Now, when I look and I did my homework, which it appears to me that the 10-member review committee did not do, I found several red flags on this gentleman. Now, number one, this gentleman, and this basically told me everything I wanted to know. This gentleman is an avid fan of one Candace Owens. That's right, that Candace Owens. Okay. Uh, so that basically told me all I wanted to know. But anyhow, I went on to find out further that he also is an adoring fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene, as well as Lauren Bobbitt of Colorado, two of the worst individuals in the United States Congress. But that's not all. I also uncovered evidence that this gentleman is like our former president. He wants to be a Twitter standout. He wants to be a social media standout. He has been working on a Twitter platform. He loves to tweet. He loves to get involved. He loves to like certain things that are posted. And he is or has been identified as a election denier. As a matter of fact, he has tweeted that since Elon Musk is now reconsidering purchasing Twitter, it brings back freedom of speech. And he says, then that means that Joe Biden stole the election. All right. Now, there's more. This gentleman from Miami-Dade retired in August of 2021. And I don't know for what reason, but I assume he was offered a job with a police department, police restraint manufacturing production firm. Okay. Now, that was August of 2021. That job lasted just about 1 year. As a matter of fact, right now it's 14 months, and he's not employed there any longer. All of a sudden, he wants to be back in law enforcement. He wants to be the chief of police somewhere. Now, his 26 years of experience in Miami-Dade did not consist of him having any type of communications with various diverse community groups. But he's indicated that that's what he wants to come here and do. He wants to come in here and restore public trust, he says. He wants to engage, spend a lot of time talking with, discussing, educating community groups. Well, I don't think this is a time for on-the-job training with the problems that we have here in Wichita. And with this guy's attitude about social media, and he wants to be a social media star, I don't know how much time he would have left to engage or indulge himself with community groups. So this guy, as far as I'm concerned, should never have been elevated to the position of finalist for the Wichita Police Department. You see, as far as I'm concerned, I'm of the belief that neither one of these guys were fully vetted by the headhunter that the taxpayers of Wichita paid $58,000 to engage and recruit a worthy candidate for our permanent police chief. I don't believe they did that. Now, the second candidate is Mr. Sullivan, who is from Philadelphia. And this candidate, he also resigned from the Philadelphia Police Department. Now, that's what we know. But here's what you don't know. This gentleman applied for chief of police. He was passed over by the Philadelphia Selection Committee. And then he was given an ultimatum that he could either retire or be demoted. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that right there sends red flags up my pole. I want to find out. There has to be something behind that. I mean, here's a guy that has risen to the rank of deputy commissioner. Then when he applies for the police chief, or maybe maybe they call it commissioner there in Philadelphia, I don't know. But anyhow, he is passed over for that job, but then given an ultimatum to either retire or be demoted. Now, something is missing, and that gives me further confidence that these guys were not vetted fully. So now let's move on with this second guy. This guy was involved, and I would admit it was a few years ago, but this guy was involved in police brutality against a fellow officer in the Philadelphia Police Department. And that was brutal, embarrassing to the force, and it resulted in the Philadelphia Police Department having to pay out $1 million in a settlement for this case. Now, there's more. This gentleman, since that time, this gentleman has applied for and been rejected for police chief in 4 other, not big city, second-tier cities, such as Memphis, Tennessee, Columbus, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on paper, this guy looks good. But there's something in his past, something in his resume, something in his personnel file that says, boy, you better look before you leap on this one. I mean, a guy that looks almost perfect on paper, who is rejected within a period of 20 months, rejected 4 times, well, actually 5 times if you include Philadelphia, is rejected for the highest office in the police department 4 times, there's something wrong, okay? There's something wrong. There's something that is not being vetted by this 10-member review committee, by the recruitment company. There's something there that these other cities know that we don't know. And I would suggest that we not get in a hurry to make a final decision before we have more sufficient information to be sure that this is the guy we want running Wichita Police Department. Now, these are controversies that these gentlemen have. Now, the Wichita Police Department has more than its share of controversies right now. You've got internal infighting. You've got a human resources manager that is alleged to engage and indulge himself in the affairs of the police department of which he has no authority. You've got officers that are threatening a lawsuit against the FOP and the Wichita Police Department. You've got the FOP retaliating against these deputy chiefs and former deputy chiefs. We've got a culture of corruption. We've got a problem of officers, members of the SWAT team, sending racist, homophobic, misogynistic text messages between each other, clapping and slapping each other on the back for killing innocent victims, and then bragging about it. And then talking about the fact that they de-escalated the ones that needed to be de-escalated. Now, those are serious problems. So why would we bring in somebody that has their own set of problems, has their own set of baggage, and put them in this mix? It doesn't make sense. Now, why all of the secrecy around this naming of these finalists? Why is it that the 10 members of the review committee cannot talk about it? Why did you put an initial gag order on the 2 finalists? What is it we're trying to hide? What is it we're trying to keep under cover? Ladies and gentlemen, that's not transparency. You deserve to know. You deserve to be informed. After all, these are your tax dollars. These officers, well, whoever is hired, whether or not be one of these, or we go back to the drawing board. Because I'm going to tell you, from my standpoint, I'm ready to go back to the drawing board. Because I don't think we've done a thorough job of vetting these 2 finalists that we have. Now, I don't know how many people applied for this job. I don't know how many of those people might have been more qualified than these 2. But these 2, from what I can gather, were suggested based entirely on their experience, their years of experience. But let me just tell you, their years of experience in Miami-Dade, their years of experience in Philadelphia, does not automatically make them the right fit to be the police chief in Wichita, Kansas. It does not. We don't know exactly what is behind the reason for a police commissioner, deputy commissioner, being given an ultimatum. Now, I can tell you, normally when somebody gives an ultimatum, there's a very good reason. There's something in their past, something in their file, something in their behavior that will not allow the Philadelphia Police Department to advance them further. That is why they were passed over for chief. The cities of Memphis, Columbus, Akron, and Albuquerque certainly must have access to the information that caused Philadelphia to issue that ultimatum. In my opinion, Wichita does not have it. And until you have that information, you, in my opinion, should not move on naming a finalist without knowing what was behind that decision. Neither one of these guys. They both have baggage. They both bring their own controversies to this job if you hire them. And I'm going to tell you, I'm of the opinion that while we might not be able to get a 5-star chief, we can do better than a 3-star reject. I know that. So, ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday evening, there will be a public opportunity for you to engage with these 2 finalists. There'll be an opportunity for you to gather and get information. that has not been put forward to you at this time. And I would suggest that you call your city council person and tell your city council person to suggest to the city manager that we put this finalist position on hold until we can get more information or we can get better candidates. You deserve it. You're entitled to it. You should demand it. Okay? Transparency is a must. Trust is a must. We cannot afford to get this wrong at this time. We can do better. We must do better. And I'm sure if you will let your councilman know that this is not acceptable for a finalist for a permanent police chief in Wichita, Kansas. Okay? Now remember, click that subscribe button and use your voice. Make your position known and do your homework. I'm James Barker.